very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Merchant Taylors School in Northwards, the Middlesex Live Enhanced stream back for another season, and delighted to be here. Myself, Kevin Hands, bringing you ball-by-ball commentary of this first pre-season friendly on the stream this season. Surrey, the visitors for a London derby. What better way to kick the stream off for the new summer? Teams just heading out to the middle. As you can see, the toss uncontested. Surrey batting first. Let me tell you the lineups that they have for this one. Robson, Stoneman, Holden, White, Cracknell, Davis, Simpson, Roland Jones, the captain, Souter, Cullen and Bamber. As for Surrey, the 11 they name are Burns, Smith, Patel, Jacks, Curran, Steele, Clark, Overton, Taylor, McCurr and Dunn. So pretty strong side put out by the visitors for this one, a week out from the start of the real thing. Umpires are Nigel Long, Mr. White at the other end as well, scorers Smith and Debbie Beasley for this one. Neil Smith in for Don Shelley, who we wish the best. Hope to see him back next week as well. And yeah, a lovely sunny day, a lovely forecast for this first day. Pretty much clear blue skies this morning for the start of this fixture, which is exactly what we wanted to hear. I think I was here for this one against Yorkshire last year, and my memory serves it was a very, very different affair for that one with the overheads. Just having a look to see that it is going to be Ethan Bamber to get us underway this morning. Rory Burns will have strike. 3 slips, as you can see, and also on a wider perspective, there's a point to cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg. So Bamber running down the slope towards the lake end here at MTS. We're sat just about at the deep mid-wicket at the moment. As here goes Bamber to get this pre-season friendly underway. Tapped up to mid-on. Nice start from Bamber on the spot. Up and around the legs, I heard, was the cry from the players. They went out to the middle. Delighted to say this morning, alongside me is the Middlesex CEO. First up, we'll have a streamer guest throughout the next 2 days. And very soon, we can say before Bamber turns to bowl and running again. Andrew Cornish, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everyone.
Roland Jones, the man at mid-on, just tossing the ball back to Bamber. Just bringing him forward a little bit more on that one. Pushed away into the offside and fielded at cover. I think it's the ever lively Mark Stoneman in there, fielding that. So another dot ball, but again right on the mark. Yes, that was the cry just as they walked out this morning. Up there and around the legs. Keep them on the legs, lads. Which, especially at this time of the season in England, is very much the way. Bowl at the knees, not the hips. That's where Bamber's been first couple of balls. Silent length again, left alone by Burns. How's it been, Andrew? How's the winter been? Where do we start? How's the summer ahead?
Yeah, exactly.
Always so much to talk about.
Ask me in 6 months' time. It's been a surprisingly short winter, it feels like, but I mean, I suppose we're not quite out the back of the winter yet, are we? We're being lulled into a false sense of security with this weather right this moment.
Yeah, very lucky last week with the weather, weren't we? Hopefully we are for these 2 days as well. It looks as though we will be. The money again from Bamber, well played patiently by Burns, eased the way defensively towards points. Yeah, it was a winter that passed by very quickly, I'm sure for many reasons, although there'll probably be a few county followers out there who think it didn't go quickly enough. Get back into the new season.
I tell you what's really exciting is to have these COVID regulations disappear and see so many members here last week, and you know, a big trickle coming in now. You know, it's great getting back to watch cricket live.
Shaping away, getting the excitement behind the stumps on that one. Yeah, first time we've actually been able to meet other than waving from a balcony to a broadcasting tent or something somewhere. It is a nice feel actually, isn't it, really, that we head into this summer with a very different world after the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, just walking around the boundary, chatting to members that are watching, shaking hands again, you know, it's those little things that they're really quite important in life, and it's fantastic to be back.
Plenty of changes. That is the end of the over, and 0 for 0. Surrey having the toss uncontested, so Surrey batting first in this one. Yeah, we had a chat a few weeks ago, didn't we? And I was asked to write a little piece for the BBC Sport website the other day, and well, it's all changed from where it was at the start of last season. Of course, yourself as CEO, Alan Coleman in his new position, and Richard Johnson's back.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. We obviously had to make some changes. Performances just haven't been good enough. It is a performance business. I'm sure the coaches will tell you, over the next couple of days when they come and chat with you. But yeah, we've made those changes. It all seems very, very positive right now, as we'd hope it would be at the start of the season. So yeah, exciting times.
It's a young coaching setup. Richard Johnson will thank me for saying that. Is that a reflection of the squad as well, and the fact that this squad is made up of 70% of the academy? As you can see, it's Toby Rowland-Jones, I should add, that's going to be running up the hill from the Lake End to bowl. That's a lovely drive through the covers. First runs for Surrey, and I think it'll be 4 of them. I won't say it too confidently. It has gone over the rope over there, hasn't it? Yep. Let's see, 2 fielders giving chase, have given up, and cracking shot to get underway from Smith. Put right up there as you'd expect. It's always a fine balance for bowlers and coaches. Then they discuss that first thing, if you go for a few drives, it's okay, because that's what you want them doing. That's where the mistakes come from the batsman, especially against that new ball if it's moving a bit. But a lovely shot nonetheless by Smith. Yeah, the 70% of the squads through the academy. Is that a reflection really as well in the appointment of Richard Johnson? He'd have worked with so many of them, and even some of the younger ones he wouldn't have, but they'd have at least seen him around before. They'd have known what he was all about.
I think the risk of avoiding getting into being drawn into being ageist, I think it's not about the age of the coaching staff, it's about being able to engage with the young players. It doesn't matter what age you are.
It's drifting a little bit to the leg. Slight adjustment from Rowland-Jones, and eased away nicely for a single down to long leg. Blake Cullen away to our right hand side doing the fielding.
So we've really listened to what the players want and what they need, and they've taken responsibility for that. So yes, bringing Richard in, bringing Mark Rampakash in all winter. The guys have asked for some flexibility around the coaching, some specialist coaches in, and yeah, that seems to have gone extremely well as well.
Burns on strike for the first time to Rowland-Jones this morning. Still be 4 slips for the left-hander as there was for the right-hander. Missed out, of course, on the England tour of the West Indies. I'm sure there's plenty of opinion on that as to whether Burns should have been there or not. I'm sure Rory Burns delighted to be at Northwood on a lovely sunny morning rather than out in the Caribbean right now.
Actually, I'm probably sure he is.
I'm sure it's a mighty relief that it isn't cloud cover this morning. It's always the fear for the pre-season friendlies, isn't it? Just how much cricket you can get in.
Well, having been at school here 100 years ago, I can never remember it having no wind at all, and I think there's absolutely 0 wind this morning.
Oh, he's gone! Brilliant catch. Taken at 4th slip. That was a wonderful diving effort in there from Nathan Souter. Something that he's been pretty typical of over the years with Middlesex. Nice ball from Rowland-Jones. Good line and length, just dabbling at it. It was Burns, and interestingly, a good bit of lift there for Rowland-Jones, and always that's what they say is him extracting that bounce. That's exactly what he's done on that occasion to pick up the wicket. And an early scalp for Rowland-Jones, and disappointment for Burns. He makes his way off for a duck. 5 for 1. Surrey batting first here at Merchant Taylors, and the skipper for the match has a wicket in his first over. Little word on the way out from Burns of what he's detected so far. Yeah, big early wicket for Middlesex, and able to have a look on the replays. Don't forget, on the Middlesex website, you have the live match centre, where you can go back and find all the video highlights. We're able to have a little look in front of us here and just tap on that one. And it really was a lifting ball. I tell you what, that's a ferocious delivery. We're at an angle at deep backward point. Couldn't quite see. We saw there was lift on it. I didn't quite see that it was as tight to Burns as it was. It really did get big on him, that ball. And brilliant catch from Souter, and just what Roland Jones has been about his entire career, really. That extraction that just, I remember regular listeners will be tired of me saying it, but that top order batsman, an international batsman, who said to me, the problem with Roland Jones, you know he's going to hit you a couple of inches higher than he does all the time. And it's a belter to follow up. Lovely to see from Tony Roland Jones, man who's had real injury battles the last couple of years. Burst onto the international stage against South Africa for England, but really sad couple of years of injury for him, but lovely to see him bowling as well as this once more, as we did last year as well. And yeah, a typical Roland Jones dismissal. So don't forget, if you're watching on the live stream and you miss a replay, you can always go back and pick up all this action on the Middlesex Match Centre on the website. And a couple of highlights up there already. That boundary from Smith, the 4, and also now the wicket of Burns. So difficult first ball for Patel as well, but at the end of the over, 5 for 1. It's Bamber continuing away from our right. There are very few sights better in cricket if you follow Middlesex regularly than Toby Roland Jones running into bowl, because you always feel there's a chance. Not quite sure batsmen share that, or opposition batsmen share that. He's got him. Low down. Another one goes. Smith departs. Both openers are out. And Bamber now joins Roland Jones in the wicket column. Just fished at that one a little bit outside of the off stump. I said that of Burns, but this one I could see it more clearly. He's dabbled a little bit as Smith, as he makes his way off. Terrific catch taken low down. And Middlesex, with both openers removed in the opening 3 overs. Terrific start here at Merchant Taylor School for the hosts, and I have to say they've looked pretty sprightly, both Bamber and Roland Jones this morning. They've been right on the money and getting it through at a very good pace as well. So Smith and Burns depart. 5 to his name, Smith, as he wakes his way back to the Middlesex 10. And it's Jacks, the new batsman. He makes his way out to join Patel. Here's a replay in front of us on the Middlesex stream. Again, don't forget you can interact with it. You probably need a couple of devices going. You can see Sam Robson taking this catch low down. Oh, that's really is. It felt it to begin with, didn't it, Andrew? And even better on the replay, I think.
A great catch by Sam. Well bowled.
It was low down to his left. It was certainly his catch. It never would have carried to slip. And Robson had to make it his, and he did. Let's have a look at the line and length of it again from Bamber. And yeah, Smith might just be a little disappointed that he played at that one.
Pocket warmers have come in handy, I think, for Sam Robson there.
Oh, very much needed as well. Actually, it was the wind. You mentioned the wind, didn't you? You never remember in a windless day in your time here. That's now, it comes back to me, the Yorkshire match last year. Good leave. Nice line and length again from Bamber. Yeah, it was it was the wind in that Yorkshire match. I seem to remember actually it was later in the day as well. We were right in the day when the sun was out in the front of us. As soon as the sun moved around the back at the end of the day, it was freezing. But did I hear? Well, I'd certainly heard it, but somebody said it to me on Twitter last night that there's snow forecast later this week.
Sleet, I think, but it's in the margin, isn't it? Horizontal sleet.
At least as long as it doesn't arrive by the close of play tomorrow, I don't mind what it is.
Normally the cruel bit is that the sleet and the snow come on the first day of the competitive cricket, when that kicks off on the 7th of April against Derbyshire. That's normally when the weather closes in, but with a bit of luck we'll get the bad weather out the way at the end of this week, and we'll be clear the following week. I think that is the longer term forecast. The following week does look pretty good.
I remember being up at a game at Chesterley Street for Middlesex, and it was snowing up there, and God, I think, blimey, it snowed at the cricket, but then all of a sudden you saw the pictures from around the country. It was snowing at the Oval, it was snowing everywhere. Lovely line of length again from Bamber, right in behind that one, not defended. But the extraordinary part of that was, I'm pretty sure it was the last week of May as well. It was very nearly June, I'm sure it was, when it snowed for that one, which not unknown. I remember Wisden were looking back through it as well to see the latest that it had snowed in an English season.
I seem to remember, casting my mind back, didn't 1976, that really hot summer, didn't it snow really late that year as well?
Was that the Windies summer, 76? Was that the score? There was once the West Indies was here, because I was listening to Clive Lloyd talking about it the other day on the tour of the 70s, and it was the summer when it just didn't rain. The entire country was parched.
But I think it started very cold, and then just we went into this spell, didn't we, of locked high pressure, and it was just hot from July all the way through August, September.
Nice ball again, a little bit of shape from Bamble once more. End of the over. 5 for 2, Surrey batting first here in the pre-season friendly on the Middlesex live and enhanced stream. Don't forget you can get in contact as well. You can tweet us at Middlesex_CCC. Don't forget the hashtag #OneMiddlesex. And if you are at the ground, send us a snap as well. Or actually wherever you are tuned in for this one. Send us a picture where you tuned in. Over the years we've had some great snaps from beaches tuned into Middlesex commentaries, and it's my one regret over the years. One of the other, doing the BBC commentaries, I think it was at Kent, in the Kent commentary box, they put up a world map on the wall. And every time they got an email from a different location, they put a pin in. And that's been my biggest regret, that I didn't do that in all the years I've been doing this. Extraordinary places that you've had tweets and emails from.
Maybe that's one for this season then, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You should never leave things too late. Tempter again. Certainly pitching on this very full length, and that was the thing I think for Burns as well. He'd been expecting that full length, and then the ball to extract the bounce as it did from Roland Jones. It was near unplayable, that, from Roland Jones to Burns. And international standard, 2 England Test players on display here at Merchant Taylors. A decent little number of spectators in for this one. I saw a lot of Surrey shirts coming through the gate for this as well, which is lovely to see. Nice pace bounce on that one again from Roland Jones and carry through behind the stumps. But yeah, just going back to the changes. What was Richard Johnson's first? The interviews were start of January, weren't they? So was it start of February for him?
Yeah, middle of February, 21st of February he started. Surrey were very kind. Alex Stewart was very kind in releasing him reasonably quickly, which was great.
Oh, that's a very good leave. Over the top of middle. Through it goes. Terrific ball again.
And so, yeah, Richard's had a good couple of months now with the guys. I mean, obviously he knew a lot of them pretty well anyway. So I think that's quite an accelerated learning curve in there. So that's been good. And being here in the marquee has been fantastic over the last 3-4 weeks. I think they've enjoyed that as well. So, yeah, so far so good.
Edge doesn't carry. Sam Robson at second, sharply to it, and well, you were mentioning, Andrew, those finger warmers. He'll need to let's get his hands back in his pocket on that one, I think.
He doesn't look quite as amused by that one, does he?
No. Hurts all that more when it's either a drop or didn't carry. All that pain for no reason at all. Ah, lovely shot. Much better. It'll be 4 away through the covers. And yeah, moisture in the outfield, not too bad this morning actually. I did wonder how squidgy it would be, but it's pretty lush, the outfield, but good pace on it as we've seen from that lovely push there as well from Patel. And a beautiful shot. 9 for 2. Nice shot again, just a little bit more of a push on that occasion, just offering the bat. Patel will pick up a couple. 11 for 2. End of the over. So Patel moves to 6. Wickets to fall so far. Burns and Smith, the opening pair. Jack's out there to have strike against Ethan Bamber. So it was middle of February, but of course Alan Coleman, who's been through the coaching ranks at Middlesex, was here to oversee it all winter with the help of Mark Ramprakash. It obviously has a very Middlesex feel, the coaching setup now.
Yeah, I think new ideas is one thing, but also continuity is another really good thing. And with these young guys, trust and understanding how they want to work. They've asked for that. We've given them that. They accept that they now need to stand up and be counted. So, there's a bit of, dare I say it, player power in there, which I think is healthy. I don't.
Little inside tickle down to long leg, bring a single to get Smith off the mark.
Young people today are different to my generation, and different ways of being coached and different ways of being taught just in life, and we've listened to that. We've tried to adapt to that way, a very modern style of coaching going on now, with some very, very experienced for their ages.
Played again, right in behind that one. Good line of length from Bamber. Reset's the modern word, I say the modern word, it's the popular word at the moment, isn't it, reset? Is it fair to say there's been a couple of resets from Middlesex since that title win in 2016? There was a reset with Stuart Law, and now a reset with a different approach. Just going on what you were saying about how it's approached. That it felt when Stuart Law was brought in, it was looking to be a very different approach to that which had come before, and it feels again now with Richard Johnson and Alan Coleman that it's a little bit of a reset again.
I'm not really a fan of the word reset, I think.
No, neither am I.
But I think it's
popular among some people.
Seems to have crept in, I think. Perhaps, I don't know whether Joe Root christened it or whatever, but anyway, I don't know. That all predates me, so it would be hard for me and really not appropriate for me to comment. I think we've tried to look at the overall coaching setup. We've listened to the players a lot at all levels in the organisation. And it's not just about Richard and Alan and Rory. We've just recruited David Burton to work as a transition coach with youngsters coming through the academy, a new position.
Very good leave. Very, very good leave from Patel. Real testing stuff, this from Bamber.
So I think we've learnt an awful lot that we need to. We've got this fantastic pipeline of young players coming through, but sometimes we're not getting that conversion from outstanding academy second team players into really nailing it in the first team. And so we're doing what we can to give them, everyone, the best opportunity that they can have to do that.
Yeah, it's obviously released in a press release last week, I think was it, or the week before, about Dave Burton's appointment, and a big moment it feels like for Middlesex, but also across the country for counties, because obviously there's been a look at the way everybody operates, really.
Yeah, it is a big moment. It's born out of listening to what players and ex-players have been telling us about the challenges that they have of that transition. And Dave Burton summed it up very nicely when I spoke to him. He said that they need a big brother sometimes, someone to put their arm around them. And David's still very capable of running out there and playing as well, so that'll be exciting to watch in the second team for a few.
Yeah, I remember commentating on Dave Burton back in 2008, I think it was. Really, he joined me on the mic a few times back in those days as well. Really kind character. He came across as, and I think that's perhaps what you're alluding to slightly, that's what the youngsters and what the players kind of require nowadays. There is a difference, and rightly so. I think that it's recognised now that there is a difference in the way that people are nurtured.
Very definitely, and it's just an acceptance of that. You don't have to fully understand it. You just have to accept that things are different, and we're different to our parents, our kids are different to us, and their kids will be different to them, and they're different motivations and different styles. I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but we have to adapt to those ways of coaching and training and educating.
I think MTS will be very proud of you being all philosophical here in a field in
way more philosophical than I was when I was studying, that's for sure. I think my last music report words, Cornish is very keen to contribute. Unfortunately, most of his contributions have little musical relevance, so maybe I should keep a low profile when the headmaster turns up tomorrow.
Right up there on middle and off again from Roland Jones. They run the cry. It's watchfully kept out. That's, of course, what Burns and Smith would have wanted to do as well. Just survival on a day like this. Just time in the middle is important. Richard Johnson talking ahead of this one, saying it is just about getting time out on the fields for the players. So played again, just patiently, watchfully played. It's what they have to do at this stage. It is a big, big test for the batsmen. This time of year, as we know, April and May, it's very much a talking point at the moment. After England's latest difficulties, the amount of first-class cricket that is played in April and May now. Of course, historically, early 90s, counties moved to the April starts, but it's just the volume and quantity of it that's played there at the moment that's obviously in question. Scampered single. Leg by signal just off the hip. Brings Patel onto strike against Roland Jones. Mentioned in Merchant Taylor's School, the link-up's quite strong now, isn't it, between the county and the school? Quick single taken down to long leg by Patel, 14 for 2.
Yeah, you're right. The relationship's very, very strong. They make us feel incredibly welcome here. Look after us extremely well from a professional playing standpoint, and then some of the longer-term plans that we've got. You know, they're building a new indoor cricket school here. They'll start building, I think, in July of this year, and it'll certainly be somewhere we'll use extensively for our elite teams, men's and women's, from 2023-24 winters onwards.
It's a lovely ball. Asked him to play at it, ended up just dangling a little bit outside of the off stump. But beauty to end the over from Roland Jones, 14 for 2. Yeah, that's the big challenge, isn't it? Scheduling, especially for Middlesex. It's a challenge for all the counties, but more so Middlesex with the tenancy at Lords.
Yeah, it is a challenge, but there's far more upsides than there are downsides. So we very clear we play as much cricket as we possibly can at Lords. We acknowledge that we won't be able to play all our cricket at Lords with 100 and other things going on, international cricket. So therefore, when we come to Merchant Taylors, Radler, any other outgrounds we go to, we need to make sure that the spectator experience is as good as it can be. And from a playing standpoint, the players still feel that they're playing at home. One of the challenges we've had is when we've been too nomadic, every game feels like an away game, and we don't take home advantage. So we've been very keen to make sure the players have a sense of home advantage. So one of the things we're doing here with Merchant Taylors is we're building a new set of outdoor nets this summer for use in future years. And Richard Ayling, who's the head groundsman here, he's actually building those nets so they mirror exactly the slopes at Lords, so we'll be able to practice just as we would at Lords.
The ball around the wicket from Bamber to start the new over. Yeah, I was just looking back here in August for a championship fixture against Leicestershire.
We always win here as well.
I was about to say Fortress Merchant Taylors. Yeah, the players, from what I can gather, they're very happy with Radlett and Merchant Taylor School. And Radlett's got a little bit more of a one-day feel about it, hasn't it? Is this more the 4-day venue ongoing?
Now we're going to fix the road into the car park. Yeah, it's going to be much better. I think it's fair to say, we're very lucky right now with Lords. It's fantastic. The guys love being there. This winter they've been there. They've been incredibly well looked after by the MCC there, and we've changed things so it makes them feel at home. So they've been they've been fed and watered there by a really great bunch of people. Use the indoor school there a lot of the time, and now we've been here for the last month, 6 weeks, and that's worked really well too.
Good leave once more from Patel. Angle around the wicket from Bamba, targeting that off stump. Not going too straight, just asking the question, but Patel happily leaving alone. I don't know, in my time that's been an evolution of outgrounds when Merchant Taylors came on the scene, and Radlett likewise. It does feel as though for the players it's been made home. Do you think they're feeling that already now, that they do feel comfortable pitching up at these two venues?
Yeah, very definitely, and that's something that we've really striven to do. Doesn't sound very good English, does it? But to really make them feel at home.
It's a bit of shape just after passing the batsman, but certainly plenty out there for the bowlers just to persevere on a length at the moment this morning. Continually ask the questions. Looks pretty true, the pitch, for both batsmen as well. They're pretty trusting in their leaves so far. It's not exaggerated sideways movement so far for either bowler, which can always be the biggest trouble at this time of year for batsmen. I was speaking to you before the start of the season, not that the season has started yet, but I think when I spoke to you, the schedule, the fixtures weren't out, but you said you were hopeful that these are going to be closer to something that were a fixture list that members and fans would be a little bit happier with. Obviously the amount of red ball cricket that will be played in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, I think Championship cricket at Lords in June and July, that's really good news. Challenge for the players, mix of formats going on, but I think they'll cope with that, and as always it's always about compromise, but we'll try and make the best of it.
In fact, I missed the Worcestershire match that's here in July as well. I mentioned August. There's Worcestershire here in July, isn't there, in a 4-day game, and then Sussex at Lords the week after in July. Back-to-back Championship games and a trip to Chesley Street. Or if ever there's a good time to go to Chesley Street, it's the last week of July. Surely it's not going to snow then.
Well, you never know. Fingers crossed.
Actually, the commentary box is lovely and warm up there. It's
just take your word for that.
It's something the commentators selfishly look at. It's like, what's the weather going to be like for that one? That's fine.
I was admiring your boots with the fur inside. I think that's very
pessimistic. Smart. Pessimistic for this one, do you think? It's actually quite nice so far, isn't it? I brought all the layers. It's better to be able to take the layers off than sit here with not enough. Old football commentating boots from many years ago. Didn't I think I used them once this winter? Does that mean it was a mild winter? I'm not sure. It's a nice little clip for a couple. 16 for 2. But the outgrounds are always important to Middlesex. They're always important to lots of fans across the country, actually, aren't they? And that's probably been lamented by 17 other counties, sets of fans, that can we have the outgrounds back? Can we have the trip still to, well, Scarborough, of course, for Yorkshire's a famous one, isn't it? But any time that I've been be it home or away, really, and the topic of outgrounds come up, we always get messages saying, can't we have a few more trips to outgrounds for our side? Good stop.
I think the challenge. Sorry, I think the challenge there is it's the standard of the surfaces. I'm not an expert on this, but when I listen to the coaching staff, the level of facilities that are required for dressing rooms and physios, the quality of the outfields, and particularly the quality of the deck that they play on is really, really important. And they've increased in quality exponentially over the years, and it's very hard for outgrounds to keep up with that.
That's an absolutely unplayable delivery from Roland Jones. Had to play at that one. Pitched. Shaped away. Cracker from Roland Jones. And, well, mightily relieved not to have nicked that one. Jack's having a little chat with Patel. Also got that little bit of bounce in the same way as the one that removed Burns. Just a single down to long leg on this one. Is that something that Middlesex can use to their advantage, though, that you know, all the other counties fans scream, can't we have an outground fixture? Come on, can we have an outground? Because there's a very different feel for a commentator, for a member, for the players as well. In playing at outgrounds, it is up close, it is personal, isn't it? You just get, you know, to be this close to the action and in amongst it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but it is really important to make sure those outgrounds still feel like home, and that's what we've been striving to do over the last couple of years. Just COVID hasn't been overly helpful with that.
For the fans as well, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for the fans and the players, it really matters to the players to have contact with the members and the fans, so they enjoy walking around the boundary and chatting with members. It's really important to them. They are acutely aware of, you know, the reason why they're playing is because members and fans want to come and watch them play, and if they stop coming to watch them play and don't feel engaged, then they haven't got jobs. Yeah. So, you know, they're acutely aware of the need to do it and really want to do it and enjoy it.
It's a nicely taken single. It's back at a square, and he'll keep the strike with it. Patel, end of the over, 17 for 2.
So I think it's about striking a balance, and unfortunately we're forced to strike a balance. So we've got the home of cricket, and we play as much cricket, as I said, as we can at Lords, but we have to go and play some other places. So when we go and play other places, let's make the best of that and make sure that everyone gets something out of it. You know, I do talk to members who say, I'd never go to Lords, I only go to the outgrounds. And I talk to members who say, I never go to the outgrounds, I only go to Lords. And that's great. We just need to make sure we cater everyone. So certainly at Radlett this year, we'll be improving the facilities. And here, there'll be stands for the competitive games, small stands, so better viewing. At Radlett, you know, you sit on the far side over there by the train track. You sat in the third row, you're lower down than the first row, so you can't see anything.
Good stride in. Defending that up to mid-off. Yeah, it's got the raised square, hasn't it? At Radlett, if you're on one side, you can't see the feet of the fielder on the other side.
It just slopes away massively, so we're addressing that this summer. So it'll be a much better experience.
Will there be stands at Radlett as well?
Yeah. So in a raised area, so that if you sat at the back, you won't be staring into the back of the neck of the person in front of you, which is important.
A couple of T20s there as well as the one days, as well as the Royal London One Day Cup.
I think with 3 T20s at Radlett, and then obviously the 50 over games are all there. So yeah, a really good chunk of cricket there this summer.
A couple of exciting players signed up as well for the T20.
Yeah, I think so. It's a very exciting stuff there. I mean, it'd be great having Majid back. He's been with us for a few years now and very popular in the dressing room, and obviously his performances speak for themselves. And then to having Shaheen Shah Afridi come, you know, proper box office. And yeah, we're really excited about him joining us in a couple of weeks' time.
It's a nice pickup. Heads out towards the pavilion. One bounce. Once over the ropes. I should add one bounce into the pavilion. It was well over the ropes by the time it did. Lovely pickup shot that was. Sweetly struck. And I have to admit, I could not see where that was going for a moment. I did worry for us for a second there, Andrew.
Too busy talking to each other and not watching the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Fatal in cricket.
Yeah. You'd have thought March, pre-season friendly, Merchant Taylor School, we're pretty safe. That's what I always say on the T20s, never take your eye off the ball. A couple of tweets come in, which we'll get to in a few moments. Don't forget you can get in contact at Middlesex_CCC. Use the hashtag #OneMiddlesex. And if you are here in the grounds watching along, send us a snap from whatever angle you're watching the action and wherever you are in the world tuned in as well. Don't forget the live enhanced stream will be available for all home matches for Middlesex this summer. And don't forget as well, head to that match centre, which has all the information you need. Even a few video updates of me throughout the away games if you can stomach it as well.
Brilliant. So just finishing off on the overseas players, so obviously Peter Hanscom coming back had a very successful winter with Victoria, and I think they're in the final of the Sheffield Shield. But then we had some really very exciting news about an hour ago, which after this ball I'll touch on.
So defended again, Timidov.
So many of our viewers and members will be aware that Tilan Walalolita is technically, or was technically, an overseas player, having joined the club when he arrived in the country 10 years ago after the tsunami in Sri Lanka. He's been working on getting his British citizenship. He's had a right to remain and to work, but the cricket rules are very complex on who can play and who can't, and Tilan has been technically classified as an overseas player, but he arrived as he drove into the car park this morning. He got a phone call to say that his British citizenship's going through and his British passport's on its way, and he will be, or in the next day or so, he will be a domestic player available to play for England. It's a massive day for him, for his family. He's worked so hard to get this done. I'm so pleased for the young man.
Oh, in the air for a moment. We'll get away. Perhaps not for 4. Imagine they'll turn for a third. They will. Fielded out on the boundary rope there by Ethan Bamber. Mightily close. I think it was it Toby in there that nearly took the catch? Greatwood for that one, I think. Perhaps under the cap. I just couldn't quite see who it was with his back to me. Heading to the other side now, and he turns around to be able to see. But just in front of him in the air for a moment. Again, whether it's on the front foot drive, little back foot punch or clip from Roland Jones, that's that extra little bit of bounce sometimes does mean a batsman's not able to get over the top of it always. 3 more into the book. 27 for 2 now, Surrey. So yeah, that's great news on Walalolita, which I guess it would have been a nervy moment for him at one point. Was it doubt, or was it just paperwork and time?
Just paperwork. Guess what? COVID was blamed for. I don't know how COVID affects paperwork like that, but I think more seriously, yeah, offices not being fully manned in the Home Office and things like that, and then the complexities of English cricket, and you know, he could have any job he liked in cricket apart from play cricket, which is bizarre to me.
Good leave once again.
But you know, that's behind him now. Well, will be in the next couple of days or so when he goes through the citizenship ceremony and everything. And yeah, he's fully eligible to play for Middlesex. That's the really important thing for us. But actually, for the young man, he's fully eligible to play for England as well. And I guess that's where his ambitions will be in the future. And we wish him well with that. But for him and his family, this is a momentous moment.
Yeah, he's another one, obviously, that came through the academy. I think 10 years with Middlesex now, is it, for Walalolita?
Yep, 10 years. And you never stop smiling, never stop being positive, never stop working at his game. And you know,
huge enthusiasm. I noticed that from the first game he played.
Absolutely fantastic. Really great enthusiasm.
I mentioned those tweets. Very good morning to Bruce Murray. Says, welcome back, watching from Cornwall. Overcast and a bit chillier today. Not really cricket weather. Good luck to the middle for the coming season. Hashtag brr. It's actually quite nice here. Maybe it's because I've got so many layers on. You mentioned the boots. I've got the thermals on as well for this.
No, it's not bad. We're not even in the sunshine, are we? And it's really not too bad at all. Better than forecast, I think.
of the over, 27 for 2. Yeah, I mentioned stripping off the layers. Perhaps I hope it doesn't get that hot in the tent that I have to strip down to the thermals. We'll have to turn off the commentator cam if we do.
That would certainly be the end of my stint if that happens. I'm well on the way by then.
Yeah, lovely day for it here at Merchant Taylor School, the pre-season friendly with Surrey. I did get 1 or 2 on Twitter yesterday saying pre-season friendly with Surrey. There's no such thing as a friendly with Surrey. It's a good rivalry. It's a nice one to have, especially for the marketing department, I guess, whenever it comes around this match. The T20 one's always packed houses, but likewise the Championship and one-day games get a good house in.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, we had Kent here last week, who turned up with a very, very strong team. I'm sorry, have turned up with a very strong team here. You know, I've seen the little boards that they give the players beforehand in terms of communication about this game, and there's nothing very friendly about it. I don't think there's a real determination to set the right tone for the start of the season.
Yeah, I heard Richard Johnson talking about match 1, match 2, match 3, rather than Derbyshire being the start of the season. I thought that was a interesting way to look at it, a good way to look at it, for the players, that you hit the Derbyshire match warm rather than, oh look, here it is, it's starting. No, actually it started a little while ago, because this is, it's a perfect replication, this one. It could quite easily be a Championship match in the middle of June, in fact, this one, couldn't it? Oh, it's going to be close, he's gone. Right up there from Bamba, beat the inside edge of the forward defence. That's the end of Jack's, lovely delivery from Bamba. Couple for him this morning now. And sorry, 27 for 3. Yeah. Full length from Bamba. And as soon as it beat that inside edge, it was always going to have a very, very good chance for Ethan Bamba, and no doubt at all that finger went up pretty quickly. 27 for 3 marks a pretty good first 46 minutes for Middlesex. And as we were literally saying just before that ball, this really does mark, or does feel just like, I remember doing the Yorkshire game here last year. Maybe it was a little bit earlier, or I think the Yorkshire side might have been a little bit more mixed than this Surrey strong side is for this one, as the Middlesex side is. But this could very easily be a Championship match, the competition level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Richard's been very clear. I mean, he's picking the sides. He's been very clear that all the senior professional squad will all get a game in as you say, matches 1, 2, and 3. And then when match 4 comes, it'll be the side that he selects. But there's still very strong sides in both games so far, and will be against Essex on Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week.
Sam Curran is the new batter. Out to the middle. Let's have another look at that Jack's LBW, which, well, I think everybody knew. As soon as there wasn't a little bit of inside edge involved in it, he was gone. Full and straight delivery, beating the inside edge. Don't forget, if you want to have a look at the replays, if you've just missed the replay on the stream itself, you can just head to the Match Centre on the Middlesex website and head back and catch up on all of the action. Whether it's home or away, that Match Centre always updated with all the latest, the previews and post-match as well. Andrew, we'll let you go. Change of guests in the commentary marquee here. Look forward to having you up in the commentary box at Lords. It's a lovely position to sit up there and watch, isn't it?
I look forward to that. Thanks very much, and thanks to everyone for viewing and putting up with me. And I'll hand you over.
Thanks, Andrew. Good to have you with us. Andrew Cornish, the CEO for Middlesex. There's the first ball for Curran, left alone outside of the off stump. kept out by Curran, and full up there. Delighted to say that we've got a stream of guests coming through to us today in the commentary tent. There's Andrew Cornish, good to have him with us, the Middlesex CEO, first up today. And throughout these 2 days it'll be, rather than co-presenter, it'll be a stream of guests alongside myself, Kevin Hand, in the tent. Oh, just drifting down. Right arm around to the left-hander. Good shout, but beating the inside edge, drifting down as well, though, from Bamber on that one. It was an optimistic appeal, but I think they knew themselves it was a moral victory for the bowler, but nothing more. 27 for 3. So delighted to say Ankit Shah's alongside me in the commentary tent for this one, co-chair of the EDI committee at Middlesex County Cricket Club. Lovely to have you with us, Ankit. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Lovely day for it, isn't it? Andrew Cornish and I have just been sitting back thinking this isn't what we feared it might have been, a pre-season friendly. It's quite a beautiful day for it.
You can only go one way from here, right? The weather.
Let's hope so. I'm never that trusting in an English summer. I've been telling myself, telling my kids as well, actually, that this is the time of the year to make the most of, because you know you've got the summer to come. No matter what happens, there's still the summer coming. It gets to the autumn. And this winter went by pretty quickly, though. Sight screen's being moved away to our left. I think it's a change of bowling by the looks of it. On the far side. Toby Greatwood it is, who's going to replace Toby Rowland-Jones at the Lake End, running up the slope. Played in the Royal London One Day Cup at Radlett last year. Really impressed in his spell. Cracking spell that he had. Broad shoulders for a young man, as I remember mentioning at the time. You can see it on camera there. You can see as well, 27 for 3 in the background, Surrey. So a little bit of work for them to do, but change of bowlings will come around the wicket. No ball first up. 29 for 3. Yeah, I mentioned a busy winter, that it went by quite well, it felt to me anyway as though it went by quicker than most winters. It's always a long wait from the end of September, isn't it, for the new one to start. But for you, a very busy one, your appointment as co-chair of the EDI committee.
Indeed, yeah, I got announced. So I joined the EDI committee almost 2 years ago, and I got announced as the co-chair of the committee in November, December last year.
It's clipped away down to fine leg for 4. Lovely shot. It's tucked away by Patel. And 33 for 3 it is. Tell us about the committee first, and your role on it, of course.
So the committee is, firstly, it's all voluntary, and it's people who are associated to the club, whether it be members, whether it be members of the board, staff in the back office, but also, quite importantly, people that are involved in the recreational game. So those volunteers that have got an active involvement in club cricket.
It's about a ball not defended.
But yeah, everyone's got an interest in making the game better. I think everything that's happened in, especially the last 8-9 months since Azim's story came out and highlighted some of the issues that are in the game, people have definitely been involved for the right reasons, and that's to make the game as a whole better, but focusing specifically on how Middlesex can get better as well.
Good ball again, settling onto a line and length. Toby Greatwood, his first over. yeah, it has been a difficult time, hasn't it, for cricket, and you still see Azim's very much to the fore, and a spokesperson at the moment, tweets regularly, keeps an eye on all matters. Lots of conversations had, and to be had, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, he's continuing to take the, I wouldn't say a fight, but to carry on the momentum that he's built, to see some real change in the game. We're part of everything that the game are trying to achieve and get better at. So yeah, it's been a long winter, but the work has only just started. There's a long way to go.
Right up there, nicely dug out. I know one thing that was said back to me, in fact we had a chat the other day, my son plays at Hampton Wick Cricket Club, which is a very diverse cricket club, wonderfully so, a really good feel about it all the way through the levels, and they had their own meeting actually where they said, look, we feel we're doing really well as a club, but we want to make sure that we can do better. And one of the things that came back to me from it was that it's a conversation that should never stop now. It's a conversation that started and needs to continue.
Yeah, totally. I think part of the issue that the game has had is not having these conversations and not being open and honest with itself as a game and as a sport to have these conversations. I think since in the last 9 months, I think clubs have had to have the conversations whether they felt comfortable about having them or not. I think Middlesex were in a better position in terms of we were quite open with ourselves and noticed we could do better. So our conversation started earlier than maybe other counties. But I think this is the first step, understanding and trying to kind of articulate what the problems are and where the issues we can improve as a game. I think that's where the counties are at the moment, and they won't be comfortable conversations. And I think everyone has to be aware of that and almost be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's not going to be easy, but if you don't have these conversations, you can't necessarily move on.
Change of bowling. Replacing Ethan Bamber. Here's Blake Cullen away to our right hand side. I've been chat there with Toby Rowland-Jones. He's captain. Not a bad man to have alongside him. He's got Bamber, I think, on the other side. Plenty of experience to draw on. Mind you, Cullen himself, he's been away in the 100, hasn't he, and made a real name for himself last year. And indeed the year before when he first burst onto the scene with pretty express pace. Down the hill he goes. Oof, good start. Down to third man it goes, and they'll pick up a couple. 35 for 3 now, Surrey. So what about your role as co-chair? Often when people go into a role, they have a clear idea of what they want to do, what they want to achieve. And I'm sure you do, but is it equally, though, as you say, it's the start of something, so it's a broad and wide target that you have? Chopped away nicely for 4 more. Tucked up a little bit, played nicely. That one, Sam Curran. 39 for 3.
Yeah, I mean, when the EDI committee started just over 2 years, well, about around 2 years ago, the initial objective was to kind of articulate what the 4 or 5 clear objectives were. So they're available for everyone to see and read on the website and elsewhere. But first of all, it was clear that engagement with the community, kind of having broader representation within the club as well, was really important.
No run, agreed, just about in time. The bat thrown out of, or knocked out of the hand by the underarm throw from the ever enthusiastic Stoneman in the covers.
So yeah, there are a couple of the key objectives that initially we put out there and we've committed to. It's difficult to say what one clear objective was, but for me, I stand by one thing, which is perception is reality, and that
to be a quick single fine of mid-wicket.
Yeah, and that perception is reality kind of quote I've used since day one, since I joined the committee. And actually, if people perceive the game to have a problem, there is a problem, whether there is or there isn't. So that perception around the game has to change. And I think each county, each local cricket club, each school, and the ECB, more importantly, have a role to play in changing that perception. So fundamentally, if we can get that perception to change across the game, then we'll be in a good place. But that's not going to be something that's achieved in 1, 3, 5 years. I think that's going to be an ongoing conversation, an ongoing challenge.
Good leave. Just kept a little bit low as well on the way through. Just spilled slightly by John Simpson. You always see a wicket-keeper's disappointed when they've let one get through, even if it was a difficult one, as that one was for Simpson. Nicely played, nicely bowled. End of the over, 40 for 3. Good finish to the over for Cullen. Back to Greatwood at the other ends, and two promising young seamers for Middlesex. We mentioned, though, these are strong sides put out by both for this fixture, and it is being played at a near first-class level. You'd feel this match, there's absolutely no way you could get any closer, really, to a championship game than this.
Yeah, I think the intensity shown by both sides already shows how close they are and how seriously they're treating this. So it's great to see, and it's not a bad place to be playing a warm-up game.
Should say as well, EDI is Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. The committee at Middlesex. It's easy, we just all say it, don't we, EDI, and for listeners, watchers. When was the EDI committee set up, do you know?
So it was August 2020, and I joined probably a couple of months after that, and we released our objectives early part of the new year 2021.
So it is very new, really. The committee itself, and Stephen Eskenazi's latest member to join the committee, representing the playing side.
Yeah, and that's such a big statement for us to make, and I think it's important to know that it's not something that we asked any of the players to do. So Eski put his hand up following an all-club event a couple of almost a month ago to say, I really want to be involved. The players are talking about it, and we want to be involved.
That's sharp. Quite timed, I don't think. We'll pick up at least a 2 for it. Bowler's the call, and they'll settle on a couple.
So I think that everything that's happened since the DCMS hearing, I think the players, I think players across the game have realised that they have a sense of responsibility as well. And Eski made it clear that the boys have been having conversations around what does this mean for them. And they've made some conscious choices to improve areas that think they could do better at, which is brilliant for us. And having Eski at the last committee meeting speaking so eloquently and passionately about this added a real oomph to everything that we're doing.
Oh, slash at that one. A little bit of width from Gatewood and intent from Curran, which as it beats the edge of the bat. Relief. Just over an hour gone of this 2-day fixture here at Merchant Taylors. 43 for 3. One in addition to the wickets column at the moment, Surrey. One of my other guys is with a different hat on last week. I was working for the BBC and interviewed Stephen Eskenazi, and that passion he talked about. He is so eloquent. I always said since the first interview I did with him when he made his debut, he scored a century the following season at Scarborough, and I spoke to him then. He's almost statesman-like, isn't he? Stephen Eskenazi.
He really speaks well, and I think the best thing about it is the honesty, and he doesn't try to hide anything. He speaks how he feels, which is brilliant.
Oh, just drifting down, beat the inside edge. Got the excitement going, but Curran unable to get bat on it, but it was always going down. One of the things, you know, I think that he stressed and came across really well was Middlesex are desperate to represent the community that they play in Northwest, West London, North London, a very diverse part of the capital, as he said, a diverse part of the country, a diverse part of Europe, and it is something they're desperate to reflect. And of course, he would have been Eskenazi, a player who came through the ranks at Middlesex.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the statistics, up to over 50% representation of diverse communities coming through the county age groups, and that kind of falls off quite dramatically when you get to the pro squad. So that was something that's driven the initial kind of conception of the committee, but also is one of the key objectives is to truly be representative of our community. If you look at some of the boroughs that Middlesex cover in terms of Harrow, Brent, for example, they're some of the most diverse communities, not only in London, not even in England, but in Europe, as you quite rightly said. So how do we represent that? And it's not necessarily saying we have to all of a sudden have any kind of system where you have to have X amount of players from certain backgrounds, but making sure that every young cricketer, wherever they come from, feel like there is an opportunity for them at Middlesex and England to play cricket.
Nice ball to start the over. Didn't quite catch it in line on the stream, whether it just pitched outside the line. He was on his own with the appeal. Blake Cullen. The man who was just on the stream a moment ago on the screen, walking around with Mike Selvey, was Angus Fraser, and I know from his time back with Middlesex that one of the things he was desperate to achieve was that representation in the first 11 of Middlesex. I think it was the Wisden City Cup he and Shilberry were involved in, and various other strategies. It wasn't for the want of trying, but perhaps a different approach has been needed to find a solution, or perhaps, I think I said it to you the other day, that even in our roles as broadcasters, media, have we been asking the right questions ourselves? Because we've been asking the questions, why? You know, why is there not that representation at first 11? Why is that drop?
Don't have the answer for that, unfortunately. Wish I did. I think that definitely asking the right questions, the tougher questions, are definitely the way forward. I think it's easy once the seasons get started to talk purely cricket, but actually there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and actually a lot of the work we've been doing throughout the winter is moving the right conversation forward.
Perhaps that touches on it a little bit, that what was required was a conversation, not strategies, targets and various other measures which are wants that were there before, but a conversation to understand better.
Totally. I mean, the facts don't lie, and it's been easy to say we have spoken to this person or we've thought about this initiative to move it forward, but that's not always been the right choice. I think for me it's about having that honest conversation and trying to understand where those problems are and not being afraid to speak out. And if there is a problem, that whether it's within the county game, whether it's in the club recreational game or higher up, I think it just needs to be had and people need to be comfortable in having those conversations. So I mean, the fact that we are where we are now is a good thing, because we are having those conversations.
About Dave Burson's role, transition coach, announced last week. It's a clear step in the right direction. Trying to find another way of saying why, because we know why. But oh, he's gone. Lovely ball from Cullen. Perhaps just kept a fraction low on Curran, who wasn't forward to it, which perhaps maybe was his own downfall. From Cullen's perspective, put up there and off peg, out of the ground. 43 for 4 Surrey. As Curran departs, This marks a really good morning for Middlesex here at Merchant Taylors. Hour and 10 minutes gone. A couple of wickets for Bamba. One for Roland Jones, and now Blake Cullen into the attack and into the wickets as well. So Curran returns to the 10. Curran's gone for 9. Patel remains on 19. And Middlesex feeling pretty good. 50 minutes to go before lunch.
So yeah, David Burton's role as transition in that transition role is a really important one, and it's come about because of, as you said, some of the honest conversations we've had with past players, but also after looking at the data, we've understood where some of those issues have lied, and it's not about, and it's more about the transition into a professional sporting environment as it is anything else. So actually making sure that the cricketers that come through into that environment have a safe space to go and speak to from a coaching perspective, but also just from a general well-being perspective. And Bert's he's qualified, he's level 3 qualified, and he's coached for years, and he's also got lived experiences of transitioning to different dressing rooms. So we're hoping that he will provide that real safe space for the players to go speak to from a technical perspective, but as I said, well-being as well.
Is that in terms of family as well, that parents can speak to Burton about any concerns they have, about any reassurances that they require?
I'm not exactly sure. So I think, first of all, this role is the first role of its kind that I think any county put in place. And we've always said we know the broad remit, but this role is going to change over time. So I think to an extent it will be focused on the first, second 11 for the time being in the academy. But I think if there are any issues that players of academy age group players will have, that their coaches will definitely be the first port of call, but they can of course speak to David and to others about any issues that do arise, or just for general advice. So I'm hoping
that's what I meant more in terms of general advice rather than issues, because any parent, I think, sending their child into any situation or circumstance, you always want a kind of an assurance, don't you, a feeling of confidence. Nice ball. Angled in. And targeting straight away. Steele, forcing him to play. Former Middlesex man, of course, Cameron Steele.
I think, and even more so for cricket, where it's a sport where you spend so much time with your teammates, having someone like that to give advice throughout the whole club is going to be really important, because cricketers spend so much time with each other that if it's an environment that they don't always feel comfortable in, or not quite sure how to express themselves in, having that extra support is going to make such a huge difference, because it's such a big part of their lives. And it's not like football where you spend maybe less time in that playing environment. You're spending days on end with each other, so it's really important to get that culture and that dressing room environment as comfortable as it can be. And coming back to Eski joining the committee, having him there talk about what they're doing to make the dressing room environment that bit extra, that extra kind of momentum to make it comfortable, I think it's brilliant. And I'd encourage any other county to invite players onto their committee, to get them involved and let them see what's happening.
Looks like a side screen move again for Toby Greatwood. Still have Patel on strike. I think one thing after Azim Rafiq's testimony, see every single county looked at themselves. There were lots of stories that came out all across the country, some very uncomfortable reading. Harrowing was the testimony itself, really, there's no other word for it. Having listened to Azim Rafiq talking to the DCMS committee when he did, from Middlesex's perspective, taken single, just eased into the covers. From Middlesex's perspective, there wasn't that headline news, was there, in terms of an ex-player saying, well, actually this is what happened, but as you say, you've had conversations, and the things that Middlesex feel over the years they could have done better, and players fed back, although I guess there were no direct allegations made about anything. They've obviously just said, well, this perhaps is something that we feel could change. Is that what you? Is that a fair summary of what the situation was? Oh, it's a nice ball. Beats the outside edge.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had anyone come out and feel like they've had to go to DCMS or anyone else for any issues. But that's not to say that Middlesex can't be better, and that's not to say that the things that probably weren't as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's. Yeah, we're not trying to hide anything, and people have had the opportunity to come and speak to us, and we spoke to people about.
There's hundreds of players questioned, wasn't there? I understand.
Yes,
a review.
We reached out to every past player for the past 20 years or so, and between myself, Angus, and Andrew Cornish, we went and spoke to pretty much all the players from diverse communities, whether they're black cricketers or South Asian cricketers.
It's nicely played. Steele will get off the mark against his former county. Went off to Durham, Californian-born right-hander, now back in London with Surrey. 4 runs to him.
And following those conversations, we knew there was areas we needed to improve on, and one of those was that transition. So hence the appointment of David Burton. Those conversations weren't always easy, and I think it comes down to the bit that perception is reality. So even though there may not be one person or one certain case that has brought the club into the public light, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still start with our own initiatives to get better.
A shot for no run. Still picking out Sloman at cover. And the participation levels in the academy remain the same, which have always been high.
Yeah, and I don't see that changing. And in terms of the appetite to play cricket is there for all the communities within Middlesex, which is amazing.
Slightly overpitched, still happily on the front foot. Driving up to mid-off, no run into the over. 48 for 4, Steele has 4. Patel still there on 20. Middlesex live enhanced stream here at Merchant Taylors for this 2-day pre-season match with Surrey. Myself, Kevin Handel, Mike for the 2 days, the co-chair of the EDI committee. Ankit Shah's alongside me on the mic at the moment. What kind of time did that take? I mean, 20 years worth of former players to speak to. How quickly were you able to achieve that?
Quickly, relatively quickly. I think we've got a good our communication and our engagement with our past players is really good. And Gus was brilliant. He just put the feelers out straight away. Said, "Would you be happy to have a chat?"
Fills it at square leg.
And when we got in touch with the past players, it wasn't to look for a story. It wasn't try to. We've always said, if there is anything you want to if you want to take out there, then feel free to do so. But we just want to learn, and we want to see where we can get better. And the conversations we had were around where do we get better, and what were your lived experiences? Where did you think went well? Where do you think things didn't go so well? So yeah, I mean, the conversations, it took a fair bit of time. It's fair to say. And Gus went and met a lot of players. I spoke to a few on the phone. We've had focus groups as well, where we've invited players to come and speak to us. So it wasn't a short exercise, and I don't think there's an end to it either. I think it's an ongoing exercise, and we're going to continue to have conversations, because I don't think we should ever be in a position where we think we've achieved something.
I was going to ask that, would there ever be a moment, I mean, I know you said this isn't a 1, 5, 10 year, this is an ongoing situation, but will there ever be a moment that you think, actually, do you know what, I can sit back at the moment and know we've really made a change? And that was something Stephen Eskinazi talked about. He said by the end of his playing career, when he started 10 years ago, when he finishes in 10 years, he wants to feel that he was part of a change, part of something.
If Eski's still playing in 10 years, he'll be a la Mr. Murto, won't he?
I'll leave you to say that, Anchor.
But
Morning, Esky, if you tuned in.
but yeah, I don't. So when I spoke to Fletch recently, I said I don't think there's an end state. There's not an end objective. I think there's an end state in terms of that perception is reality. Quote: the perception is better and is improved. And as you see with societies evolve. Demographic in Middlesex evolves.
Chopped away, down to third. It'll be 4 more. Patel is freeing up the arms a little bit on that one. That's a 50 up for Surrey. 52 for 4 onto 24. Patel, uncontested toss in this one, or no toss in this one. And Surrey batting first on day 1 here at Merchant Taylors.
If you look at society, the way Middlesex, the demographics, say 20, 30 years ago to where we are now, it's changed totally, and it will continue to change. So actually, the end goal is probably being an organisation that is receptive to change and able to change with the times.
Oh, goodness me. Cuts him in half with that one. Perhaps a little bit ambitious from the left-hander. But the pace of Cullen, evident there. Rushed on by that one. He is sharp. Blake Cullen. End of the over, 52 for 4.
But also another point to make there is that I don't think the problem within Middlesex is getting more people to play cricket. I actually don't think there's a problem throughout the country. I think cricket is a sport that people still want to play, and actually the bigger challenge is to remove that perception of the glass ceiling. So cricket is definitely a sport that people will play, and actually by removing that perceived glass ceiling, or the glass ceiling that may be there, that's when cricket will probably get back to its glory days and being played everywhere.
Ledgy from Steele, down to third it goes. Might race away this one for 4, it will do. 56 for 4. Eskenazi again, just reverting back to what he was saying to me in that BBC interview last week. You know, it's a clear want of the dressing room. Everybody in the dressing room, and the discussion about alcohol in the dressing room was obviously a big one, to say that, look, I think he said the bowler's bar, if players after a game want to drink, then they'll go to the bowler's bar to do it. Obviously a change in the team song as well, just to be a bit more reflective of the times and the age that we live in.
Yeah, and I think that's society, but also kind of professionalism of cricketers as well now. So yeah, and I think it's also important to stress that that's not something that we've, as a committee or the board or the club, have asked the players to go do. It's something they've taken off their own back to do, and it's just generally to want to be better, that want to improve, and that kind of attitude of always looking at ways that we can be better.
One thing that struck a chord with me when listening to Eskenazi in the dressing room, it reminded me of a documentary, The Class of '92, when Beckham and Scholes and the Neville brothers, Nicky Butt, there was a group of youngsters who all came through at Manchester United. Oh, it's put down, backward point, sharp one to Max Holden, who got both hands to it pretty much just in front of his nose, and that might have been what it was. It's coming to your face like that, your body does instinctively, your head, your face goes back a little bit, and he just spilled it upwards. It was a sharp one straight to him. We disappointed, of course, not to take it, but we were at the perfect angle, to see that one straight to him.
It's not one you want early on in the season, is it, when it's a bit cold?
Crucial position, backward point as well, and I know he's worked incredibly hard on his field in the last couple of years, Max Holden. I think fielding at backward point is probably a mark of where Middlesex feel that his fielding has moved to. But yeah, it was a sharp chance from Patel straight to his nose. Patel's disappointed with himself at the non-strikers end, much as Holden will be with himself not holding on. 58 for 4 it is. Free single down to Blake Cullen at long leg. Come back to our thoughts in a moment. Okay, that's the end of the over. And Surrey are 58 for 4. Cullen to continue, running down the slope. Steele checking the field, just a slight change. Toby Rowland-Jones going to take out the cover, which is himself. Take out cover, which is Stoneman. He'll move to mid-off, and Rowland-Jones off to mid-on. No ball called. The beauty of a no ball it was from Cullen. He'll be pretty happy he didn't take the edge for once. Wouldn't have been the time to do it. Yeah, the story I was going to come to was watching that documentary. They talked about there was a shift in the Manchester United dressing room, because as they all came through as youngsters, they were all still subjected to the kind of traits that were pretty familiar in the 60s, the 70s and the 80s, where, you know, youngsters coming through were basically given a hard time to toughen them up. And it took all of them having come through the system themselves, but then crucially made it to the first team together as a group for change to come about. And they said, look, that's the end of that behaviour. That's not how you treat kids coming through. And those are the ones who almost flicked a switch overnight and said, yeah, we're here now, and that's not going to happen anymore. Struck a chord with me when Stephen Eskenazi said that the Middlesex dressing room, so many of them would have come through the academy. And they'd have felt the difference, because they'd have played in a very diverse academy and then play in a first 11 that doesn't reflect that.
Yep, and it's, I think society, it can't keep coming back to this, but society's changing, and I think the youngsters coming through in cricket, but also generally in society, are more vocal, more informed, and more comfortable in voicing their opinions, if there is anything, but also more comfortable in change itself. So I think it's brilliant that the players feel like they're in a position to make change and make a positive change. I mean, yeah, football back in the day, you think about some of the stories you hear and the kind of the relationship with alcohol and food and all that stuff to where it is now. I think it's a marked change. So I don't think cricket has maybe some of those problems to that extreme, but actually that doesn't mean you still can't improve and get better. And I think you've got a group of players here now that really are have come through together and going to make some positive change for sure. I also think it's quite important that some of the players that are coming through, so the likes of Eski and the club cricket they play, or where they've grown up playing. So Eski at Stanmore and Blake at Wickham House, they're coming from clubs that come from that are quite diverse itself. So they have an amazing understanding, and almost they don't see anything different. And so actually they're coming into this environment knowing how a dressing room should look and feel, and they feel comfortable.
It's a lovely ball, pace and bounce from Cullen. Beats Steele. So it'll be a tricky little spell this through until lunch. It's over half an hour to go on day one. Tough morning out there, as it always is for batsmen early in the season.
My role outside of the committee is also I'm a chairman at my local cricket club, Kenton, and that's also helped massively because it's quite reflective of the demographic and the society and the community that we're in, and that's helped kind of form. It's really helped form some of my kind of thinking. The club was a bit more kind of your traditional Middlesex suburb 20-30 years ago, and to what it is now, one of the most diverse communities in Europe. So actually seeing how the teams and the age groups have progressed at my local club, and how positive an influence that is has really kind of sparked the interest. So similar experience for a lot of these players, and the fact that they've gone through the academies and their clubs into that, and having so many players from our academy now representing our first team, I think it's going to make that transition and that demographic and that I guess representation a lot more easier.
What are the playing numbers like in the leagues at the moment? You mentioned the change in demographic. Is there a greater number playing now with that demographic change?
I don't know if it's a greater number, because I don't think there's any raw data to document that at the club level.
The reason I ask is because playing levels across the country in England for 20 years obviously have dropped off. The move away from state schools, the playing fields being withdrawn, that had a massive effect on cricket.
I think there are definitely more. I think the demographic has changed in Middlesex for sure. I'm not sure about the rest of the country, but definitely within Middlesex. But there's also, whether it's good or bad, I think it's a good thing. There's also smaller clubs that are now, and new clubs that are springing up.
Lovely ball, threw him into the shot and beats him. Bowling from Greatwood. Patel pretty well set now, 25, he's been out there a long while.
And I think that's providing a bit of a challenge to, I guess, if you call it in inverted commas, traditional clubs. So that these new clubs are going in and challenging and developing some real talent as well. So I definitely do think the numbers are increasing.
Oh, it's uppish again. Not timed at all. Fielded in the covers. Catch it goes up. Falls well short of Steele. Second time he's had a go at that one, and well, picked out Max Holden in the last over, didn't he? And fortunately, the chance went down for Patel. On this occasion, completely mistimed. It doesn't carry to Stoneman.
But I think there are certain communities, especially the black community, that haven't played as much cricket in the last 10-15 years ago, and that's an area that we're looking to engage with. So yeah, demographics, I think the numbers of different communities playing cricket has increased, but that's I guess more skewed to the South Asian community in Middlesex for sure, but that doesn't mean we just focus on one community. It'd be quite ironic if we call ourselves the EDI community and not fully inclusive ourselves.
Nicely bowled again, well played. It's not even at the club that my son plays at. The youth teams there are packed, absolutely packed.
As I said, I don't think getting more people to play cricket is the issue in England or Middlesex. I think it is that perception piece that I keep going back to. So, yeah, I think the recreational youth game is in a good position.
Just dives a little on the way through to Simpson. No run though. Gathered up. And Robson coming around. I'll say a couple more questions with you before you have to move on. I'm sure you're a busy man with plenty to do today, other work to attend to as well. Do you have much contact with other counties at the moment? Is it very much a Middlesex focused agenda at the moment?
Our agenda is very much for Middlesex. Unfortunately, I don't think we've been exposed to other counties and vice versa. It's a point I have made to the ECB that I think we need to do more of that, and that needs to be encouraged from top down. So people may not like me saying it, but I think that's something we do need to do, and I think the ECB need to facilitate that conversation and encourage the first-class counties, minor counties, and the leagues to talk to each other more, share good and bad. I don't think we should have a perception that everything that issues and challenges one county face are applicable for all. So definitely we need to work and speak to others. The one good thing that we have done recently is we've spoken to the ACE programme, so taking some of their learnings and weaving that into what we're doing. So not just different counties, but also different initiatives that are working and taking their learnings and working with them.
Bumps back up the track from Steele. And Gus, we were talking about him a little while ago, the work that he's put in. He's obviously had a change of role at the club from the managing director position. One of his remits is working more closely with the clubs around the county, and I guess this is going to be a massive part, isn't it, in speaking to the clubs and working with the clubs?
Totally. clubs probably have a captive audience. Our league clubs, small clubs, schools that where cricket is already played, they've already got captive audience in terms of young cricketers and parents. So they have to be part of this journey, and I think there's as much working with our clubs and educating clubs to making them provide a safe and comfortable environment for everyone to play cricket as we do within the first class county setup. So there'll be work we do with the Middlesex County League as well, and it's often cricketers' first. It's the first step in their journey in cricket, the first experiences that they have at their clubs. So we need to make sure that every club is doing their best to provide that.
No, one thing that came back from one of the local clubs where I live was in the immediate aftermath of Azim Rafiq's testimony was that there isn't a kick it out in cricket. There isn't a show races on the red card. There isn't the quick cricketing equivalent in terms of the poster that you see as soon as you walk into the club. You know, if it's a football ground or a football club, the posters adorn the walls everywhere. I think it was a point that Azim made at the highest level as well, that he didn't feel that he particularly had anywhere to turn, which obviously is a much wider conversation. But in terms of at club level, that was I think that kind of came as everybody kind of looked around and went, oh yeah, there isn't. You know, it's a big miss. It's a big omission in the last 20 years of cricket where football has made great strides. Uppish, but safe. Single just wide and mid off for Patel. He just looks a little bit, I guess he's been out there so long, Patel. On to 26 now and 63 for 4 at the end of the over. Even he's just having a little bit of timing issue as well.
It's a fair point, and I agree. I think there's a lot we can learn from other sports. Football for sure have really broken barriers. Representation at all clubs is there.
Even with football though, see one of the great issues at the moment, number of coaches, managers, just isn't a representation of, let alone the audience, but the players.
Totally, and I think that's one of the key challenges is how to get more diverse, a more diverse coaching structure, or not structure, sorry.
For cricket.
Yeah, for cricket, a more broader representation. That's one of the great things about the ACE program as well. Again, they're encouraging not only the players but the kind of the production of top quality coaching as well, and that's something we're looking at. And how do we get that? Because I think often the coaches are the place where players and parents will go to, but they need to feel comfortable that they can have the right conversations. And it's both ways. I don't think I'm not saying the coach by any stretch coaching is bad, but how do we make sure the coaches feel comfortable as well having conversations? And language is a big part of that. So something we've done recently is just make a bit more of an awareness around how we can translate all of our content on the Middlesex website into multiple languages. So actually any fan, any player, any parent can look at the Middlesex website and understand what we're about as a club and what we're doing, and having that in multiple languages. So by having a broader kind of representation of coaching, can speak more languages, will help players and families engage as well.
Perfect way to end. I know you've got to disappear at the end of the over. You probably needed to go at the end of the last over. Apologies. But to wrap up before you do, anybody that does want to get involved, not only with the EDI committee, but just in general on this matter, and where do you go to? Who do you contact? What website? I mean, obviously it's the Middlesex website. I'm sure will have information. But for anybody that wants to get involved at any level and in any capacity, is there any advice that you could give?
I would say reach out. Depends what level you want to get involved at and how much time you have to commit. But get involved in your local clubs. Get involved in your county. Reach out to those that are in charge, chairmen of your local club. If you want to get more, if you have an opinion or have something to say in regards to Middlesex, and reach out to the EDI committee. Our information is available on the website, so just feel free to get in touch. A big part of everything we do is education, and I won't say that word enough, and the only way we'll educate ourselves and continue to learn is by continuing to have conversations and speaking to people that have their experiences. So I would encourage anyone that has an opinion or an idea, please reach out to your club, your county, to the ECB, whoever it may be. Don't feel afraid, don't feel like you won't be heard. We'll do our best to speak to everyone, listen to you, and come and speak to you. So yeah, just get in touch with us, please.
All via the Middlesex website, the information.
Yeah, all of our information is on the Middlesex website. Our objectives are on there. The kind of the who's who in terms of who's involved in the committee is on there as well. So you'll see players, board members, people involved in club cricket, etc. So yeah, all the information is on there. My contact details on there. So please do get in touch.
Might have heard me on the mic there whispering, how many balls left of the over, lads? You can probably see it on the screen as I have my head turned away from it, saying how many. That is the over. Ankit Shah, thanks so much for your time. And I guess just the in between overs, as we say goodbye, you're reaching out to the clubs yourselves. As a county, Gus is looking to push this through the leagues, make sure the message is there, but equally I guess it's a two-way process as well.
Totally, yeah. So I'd encourage all the clubs to reach out to us as well with any recommendations or just general kind of how things are going and their view on it. As it's not going to be perfect. These kind of initiatives haven't been done before, and we're not going to get it right all the time. So it's got to be a two-way thing. So yeah.
And you'd invite, I guess, as much information, as many opinions that come your way as people want to offer.
Yeah, I don't think my wife will appreciate the amount of extra work I'll do on this, but I'll definitely encourage anyone to come our way and have a conversation. Brilliant.
Ankit, thanks for your time. Really lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Ankit Shah, the co-chair of the EDI committee at Middlesex. Lovely to have him on air with us with extremely important messages and direction for the game. Great to see Middlesex prioritising highly a change. So don't forget, anything that you want to share, any opinions you have on those, the EDI committee at Middlesex can be contacted through the Middlesex website. Ankit Shah's details on there as well of ways to get in contact with them. It's nicely clipped away. Single. Down to long leg. Few more shots out there just before lunch from Patel. He has looked to want to feel bat on ball. A couple more to his name. As Ethan Bamber just down on that boundary rope a minute ago at long leg. Cry catch went up, but pretty well short of him. Running in off the ropes. reasonable size playing surface here at Merchant Taylors School. I think 8 different cricket tracks, cricket squares all around the school. Another couple there for Patel. They settle on the one, just a single on this occasion. There's the Old Merchant Taylors Club as well, behind the pavilion. The old pavilion here, a new pavilion built down there for Old Merchant Taylors, which excellent track down there, but built down at the lake end of the grounds. Can get a little bit too damp down on that one. So Middlesex played Sussex a few years ago on that one, but now moved up to play in front of this old pavilion, which you can see on the screen at the moment. Train disappearing in the distance. The Metropolitan line comes out to Moore Park, the closest tube station here, if you were thinking about popping along today or tomorrow or later in the season for the matches. Whatever you do, don't get off at Northwood like I did one day. Sharp throw. Sharp chance. Roland Jones back into the attack for a quick spell before lunch, replacing Toby Greatwood. Cracking shot. Cameron Steele. Imagine he and Roland Jones would have overlapped in his time with Middlesex. Roland Jones, bit of a late bloomer. Was Surrey second 11 when he was picked up by Middlesex. Sunbury lad. I remember asking Chris Adams on mic in a T20 down at Hove one time. Couldn't resist it, so the decision not to sign up Toby Roland Jones. Grizzly said, yeah, I won't be naming the coach who I sent to watch Roland Jones, and came back and said he'll never make it. The rest is history though for his time at Middlesex and on to England. Just died a little on its way through to Simpson, that one. Taking a bounce on the way through to the keeper. End of the over, 76 for 4. Recap the morning over these next 10 minutes through to lunch if you're just joining us on the Middlesex live enhanced stream on the Middlesex website, Middlesex YouTube page as well. Don't forget, if you want to get in contact, Middlesex_CCC at Twitter. Include the hashtag #OneMiddlesex. And don't forget, as soon as a picture wherever you're tuned in around the world, or if you're tuned in around around the ground here at MTS, with the commentary accompanying viewing this one. Change of bowling. Ethan Bamber back into the attack, replacing Blake Cullen. So it's been like for like all the way through. Roland Jones and Bamber opened up this morning, back on to C3 to lunch for Middlesex. Bell tower in the distance there. And Roland Jones, we look across to the school, just above the clock. Lovely sight here at Merchant Taylor School. With the Benham end to the right, Lake End to left as we look across, and running down the hill from the Benham ends, Ethan Bamber. Probably a sprinkling of about 20 or 30 people inside for this one. Might have underdone it a little bit there, probably about 20 or 30 just to the right alone actually, maybe nearly 100 in. So what's this, a good crowd for a pre-season? Good to hear as well, there'll be stands in for Radlett and for here at Merchant Taylor School. That's something they've done here before. Used to at Southgate in years gone by, Middlesex, especially for the T20s. Pretty lovely viewing position anywhere you are around Merchant Taylor School, but it'll certainly be a great addition at Radlett. Andrew Cornish, the Middlesex CEO, on with us for the first hour today. So if you are tuning in just before lunch, you can of course scrub back on the stream and listen to the first couple of hours. Very enjoyable chat with Andrew, the CEO, and very important chat with Ankit Shah, the co-chair of the EDI committee at Middlesex. Really important work he's heading up for the county. That appointment of Dave Burton last week as well. Yeah, with all these streams, you're able to go back and watch whatever you may have missed earlier in the day, which is a great bonus. Some of the great and the good. Middlesex, Andrew Cornish, second from right there, the CEO just mentioned. Rory Coots, Academy batting coach on the left, with Richard Johnson, the new first team coach back at Middlesex, and Alan Coleman, head of men's performance cricket. Headmaster in deep conversation with Alan Coleman at the moment. I hope he's not in trouble. Head of fundraising apparently with Alan Coleman, so he wanted something completely different. End of the over, 76 for 4. Good leave. So yeah, good morning so far for Middlesex. Good morning for Ryan Patel as well. 33 to his name. He's been out there for 106 minutes now. 72 balls. Chance put down at backward point by Max Holden off Greatwood. Still with him now on 16. The only other Surrey batsman to make it into double figures. Burns gone for naught. Caught Souter off the bowling of Roland Jones. Lifting delivery, really testing ball from Roland Jones. Smith following quickly, caught Robson off the bowling of Bamber for 5. Second slip, it's pushed a little bit defensively. The right arm over of Bamber, taken low down, well taken by Sam Robson, that catch. Certainly wouldn't have carried to slip. Fielded by Stoneman, prevents even a single. Will Jacks was out 4-7 LBW to Bamber. Pretty plumb as soon as that inside edge was beaten. Everybody around Merchant Taylors knew that Jacks was in trouble. A second wicket for Bamber. Jacks was gone for 7. Decent pick up by Steele. Intended it to go a little bit squarer. Oh, careful, out on the boundary rope. It's a good stop. Go on, rub it. That must have hurt. On the shin, apparently. Ouch. 4 runs for Steele though. 80 for 4. He saved the fielders a long chase there, so the bruise on the shin, it'll be worth telling about. If you're listening, give us a wave. Or maybe that's just a wry smile, and everybody else has had a chat with him around him. There we go, we got a wave. Slight delay on the stream. Nice to have you tuned in. Well fielded, saving the fielder's legs. Much appreciated. That's nicely played. Lovely shot by Patel. Seen a couple of good drives from him so far today. Won't go all the way, I don't think. Well, yes, it will. Just pops over the boundary rope. Patel's being sent back. Doesn't know it's gone for 4 yet. It has. Patel on to 33. The last man to go this morning for Surrey was Sam Curran, bowled by Blake Cullen. Lovely ball, took off stump out of the grounds. Curran was gone for 9. It's looking a little bit more assured now, put the shots away a little bit more before lunch. Patel, that opened up a little bit 20 minutes or so ago. But I think it will be lunch at the end of this over. Let's just shut up shop a little bit more in the last couple of overs. Bamber, 2 wickets to his name in the morning session. Fielded by Stoneman. Roland Jones, 7 overs, 1 for 28. Toby Greatwood, none for 20 from 6 with 2 maidens. Drop catch, put down. Patel by Holden at backward point. And Blake Cullen 1 for 23 from 6 for him. Good morning all round for the Middlesex attack. I think that Patel's actually on 37. Umpire's signal of 4 was missed by the scorers, perhaps when Patel, like with me, Patel was turning for a third, didn't think it was going for 4. I think that'll be corrected to Patel being on 37, Surrey being 84 for 4. Last ball before lunch, Ethan Bamber. No, one more, is it? No, it's lunch. And pretty much finishes up where he started, right on off stump. Solidly defended by Patel, who's been the pick of the batters so far for Surrey this morning. 37 to his name. I think that will be corrected in a moment to 84 for 4. But good morning's work for Middlesex in the fields. Tight line and length. And let Surrey too settled in. Patel's battled very hard. There are 13 minutes and 78 balls faced for his runs. Steele settling in for just under an hour with him in this partnership, which has moved Surrey on from a tricky 43 for 4 when Sam Curran departed, but really good replication of a competitive game. Well, it has been competitive, but of a first-class game for both of these counties ahead of the big start next week in the Championship. But certainly Middlesex this morning with a good fight back in the second hour from Surrey with the bat to ensure that the damage was limited in the wickets column. We'll be back on the live stream from Middlesex in just under 40 minutes. Commentary from myself, Kevin Hand. Agus Fraser will be with me in the afternoon session. It'll be good to catch up with him on changes at the county, his new role, part of what he's been doing with Ankit Shah, co-chair of the EDI committee and the clubs within Middlesex. Again, if you do want to listen back, it really was a entertaining start with Andrew Cornish, the CEO, very interested in important work in that second hour we were hearing about from Ankit. So do tune back if you missed any of that. Well worth a listen. The cricket was well worth a watch as well from both sides. Very good, competitive, hard fought first session here at Merchant Taylors in this 2-day game. Lunch here at MTS with Surrey 84 for 4.